I used to be the kind of kid that would watch television religiously. I would watch anything, man, provided they spoke a language I understood. I'm talking Winx Club, Angel's Friends. Talk about the Mandela effect. I just realized that this show is called Angel's Friends and not Angel Friends. I'm talking
Toby Goodwin. Seems like an average student. He's really a genius.
But what I really loved, what I still love to this day, was superheroes. Specifically, DC. Of course, I knew other superheroes like Spider-Man, Sonic, these robot dudes, and even the masculine-looking dude in the middle. But what I really loved, what I truly loved, was DC. And this was before the internet, you know. It was a time when everyone would watch their own films, their own shows. And ultimately, would realize that we're watching the same shows. It was a time when you had to believe a show was good before talking about it with someone else. A childhood friend of mine enjoyed anime. He had really been trying to get me into Naruto. But at the time, we watched Naruto on discs, and this man wouldn't give anyone his discs. Some Saturdays, we had to go all the way to their place just to catch Naruto. It was fun, but my knowledge on anime was limited at the time. So after a few years, I claimed my independence and started watching anime for myself. I would freeze frame the fights, I would watch the same anime over and over. I would read manga, I would try really hard to understand the plots and themes. I was a real anime fanboy. I wouldn't call myself an otaku, but I was a real anime fan. I genuinely truly enjoyed anime. So fast forward a few years and they released Jujutsu Kaisen. I didn't have a problem with the anime at first. It just felt like the characters were trying really hard to be cool, and it also felt like an anime I'd watched before. But then I started seeing JJK content everywhere. Everyone was talking about it. These giga chads from school who had never watched a single episode of any anime in their entire lives were talking about Jujutsu Kaisen. Pinterest, YouTube, and worst of all, TikTok. These edits of Gojo saying something cool that wasn't even actually cool. But honestly, I was fine with all that. It was okay that people were getting to know and enjoy anime. Or so I thought. As it turns out, the girls and retards watching JJK don't care about the plot. They don't care about the plot on an anime. All they cared about were these cool shots of Gojo saying something that doesn't even make any sense. We were reaching pure retardian levels, and we were reaching them fast. These people don't care about plots. They don't care about themes. They don't care if the entirety of anime as we know it goes to shit, provided once in a while they get to see a few shots of Gojo say absolutely nothing. Yes, I know. That is cringe. Last year, I was at this anime convention, and lots of people were cosplaying Bleach, you know. I felt at home. I felt at peace. After only an hour of trivia, we dove into 4 hours of K-pop. K-pop at an anime event. And rationed food. And worse, the food vendors didn't speak or understand English. And you'd think because it was an anime event, they'd speak Japanese. But no. They spoke Indian. The food and K-pop aside, we had a good 2 hours of cosplay tournaments. And for the sake of those 2 hours, I didn't complain. So JJK released the season 2, which I don't bother to watch. But this cousin of mine, who was new to anime, starts to act like I'm missing out. I point out my issues with JJK, but she starts to act like I've been watching anime all wrong. A friend of mine told me that a casual was making fun of how he watched anime too. See, there's a pattern to these kinds of people. They critique how we weebs watch and enjoy anime. It bothers them. They think it's weird. It's not that deep. It's not that serious. It's just anime. And if you retaliate to the valid argument of your own, they call you weird. They call you cringe. I've got into these kinds of debates countless times, and I always lose because if I try to explain what I really mean, it comes off as weird. These days, people just care about the most basic and surface shit. Nobody even cares about diving deep into anime anymore. Nobody even cares about understanding the characters. Back when I was in high school, people used to call anime fans weird. I mean, watching anime in high school was the equivalent of joining a freak cult. I know it mostly comes down to where you went to high school, but in mine, a 14-year-old male watching cartoons was considered taboo. I'm saying you will legit get beat up for watching cartoons in my high school. But we had this English teacher, man. He was cool. He was a true chad. This man would go on for hours and hours about plots, themes, character development. In the beginning, I thought he was kind of a clown. I thought he was a silly old man, and the books he made us read were boring. But towards the end of my high school, I came to love that clown and his books. He is probably the best English teacher of all time. I loved him, man. I felt like me and him were connected. We connected on a very deep level. The same thing would happen to the anime industry with all these casuals. But instead, when they got into anime, they perverted it. The comic book movie industry is going to hell because of all these casuals. And the same thing is happening with the music industry. I mean, nobody cares about diving deep into anything anymore. It's just the same shit. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm the one who's taking this a bit too far. Maybe the reason I choose to desperately cling on to these ideals is because they are constantly imbued in me through the media I consumed as a child. I have stressed that video games are literature too. Games like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Call of Duty might not be real themselves, but the ideals and values they inspire are real. I mean, from Assassin's Creed personally, even as a child, and from literally every other media I consumed then, I learned that there's clear good and evil. I learned that there's a clear difference between right and wrong. And honestly, that's just the surface level message. Even a child could learn that. Dive deep into characters like Ezio, and you get to learn about their convictions, their morals, their selflessness. Sure, sometimes it's really fun to imagine you're an assassin. You have all these really cool gadgets, all these swords. But sometimes, us boys, us men, we want something different.
Should anything happen to me, Claudia, should my skills fail me, or my ambition lead me astray, do not seek retribution or revenge in my memory, but fight to continue the search for truth, so that all may benefit. My story is one of many thousands, and the world will not suffer if it ends too soon.
From Assassin's Creed, there was this sense of greater purpose that you derived from the game. I genuinely believed that I was doing it for a reason that maybe I didn't comprehend back then. The plots for most of these games were beautifully constructed. I could write a book about these games, for crying out loud. The characters from the games I played as a kid had more depth than most of the characters in the movies you consume today.
The Snyderverse is dead forever.
Take the CBM industry, for example. People have become so obsessed with the CGI and the visual, they forgot what was actually important. The characters themselves, their personalities, their values, their ideals. In a way, maybe I'm guilty too in that aspect. But my main critic points are usually the actors portraying these characters and how the characters themselves are portrayed. For example, Batman's conviction, his belief in his ideals, must always be emphasized in all his films. Of course, CGI is important in this day and age, and with extra emphasis on sci-fi films. Yes, the one-liners may be necessary.
I'm Batman.
At the core, the essence of the characters is crucial, because that's the only way people can get to understand who these characters truly are. When half of the billions of people who watched Avengers Endgame still don't understand who Iron Man truly is, then you know there's a problem. Then you know there's something wrong. You know, I haven't read any Black Widow comics myself, but from the movies, I don't understand jack shit about what a character stands for. I mean, granted, I don't understand women in general, but that's exactly my point. I'm supposed to understand the character's essence from a movie. A superhero movie, especially a solo movie, should tell you all you need to know about the character. And while you might watch these movies for the fun of it sometimes, it is crucial to remember that comic book movies are founded on ideals. And just like anime, just like video games, there's always these messages that they're supposed to convey. These things are literature, and in a way, they're supposed to make you literate. These various pieces of media are supposed to inspire. You're supposed to walk out of the movie theater a better man than you were when you walked in. Given that in the golden age of comic books, soldiers used to read these for inspiration in wars, then it follows that a whole ass meth addict is supposed to be able to turn his life around just because he read a comic book. And statistically, there's over 95% chance that you're going to get a girlfriend just because you read comic books. Realistically, 98% of individuals who read comic books end up leading happy marriages. And out of the 98%, over 92 end up leading happy families. I've made my jokes, I've told my stories, but what I'm trying to say right now is that despite all these casuals, some people still take these messages, themes, plots, values, and use them not just for the betterment of their own lives, but for society in general.
Or even a strange fucker has inspired me to feel stronger. He made me, Andrew, braver. He reassured me that by doing the right thing, it's worth it. It's worth the struggle, it's worth the pain, it's worth even the tears, the bruises and the blood.
But hey, I could be wrong.